drink, and I went up to Corris, and Becky came up to me and said, "Dad, do you know where we sat?" I said, "No." I said, "Well, we sat with," because that's obviously pretty important in my life. And she said, "Well, we sat with so-and-so and so-and-so, and we sat with someone. Have you met Alan and Sheila?" I said, no, I don't think so. She said, well, Alan likes a drink. So I thought, does that mean that I'm an alcoholic, or Alan is, or both of us? But still. And the final thing I'd like to say before we move on to the formality of grace is how wonderful it was to be in church today. It seriously brought a tear to my eye. As the older I get, the more soft I get, I think it's true to say. But to listen to Helen with a rendition of God's word, and then straight on to Claire with the wonderful words of life and relationships with dogs, and a lot of us have got those relationships, and they are much part of the family as anyone else, human being wise. And then to sit there and have a tear in my eye and listen to such a fantastic rendition of Hallelujah by that young lady. Well done. Lord God, we're gathered here at this dinner table today to celebrate the boundless love and endless eternal commitment that now unite Camilla and Chris in a wonderful bond of marriage. Love in any relationship is so special, but love that's been sanctified in the Christian world in the name of God is not just a marriage and a relationship, but it's an extraordinary gift from God. Bless this lovely meal. Bless the happy couple for a wonderful life together. A life surrounded by all of you people that are in these two rooms today. And these people that are here will be with you throughout the rest of your lives together, as long as we're on this earth's surface. And talking of that, not everyone can be here with us today in terms of loved ones and friends. Not necessarily in body, but of course we are sure that they are all indeed watching over us with joy and excitement for the wonderful occasion that we meet here today for. And it would also be most remiss of me not to mention Chris's dad, Arthur Frith. Chris, Arthur, your father, will be watching over this enjoyable occasion today with a smile on his face, and he will be also proud of everything that you two bring to the party of life. Mr. and Mrs. Frith, Arthur is there watching. Finally, before we tuck into a wonderful meal, it would be wrong of me not to offer two toasts. The first toast we will do in a second is to the late, beloved Queen Elizabeth II, and then we'll move on to the final toast once we've done that. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you wouldn't mind, if you can, to be upstanding for the first toast. The first toast, Her Majesty, the Queen. And finally, let's toast the treasured reason why we are here today. It can be none less than to the bride and groom. The bride and groom. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to sunny Shropshire. As Camilla's dad, I would like to welcome you all to this joyful wedding of Chris and Camilla. May I thank family and friends here today, and those who couldn't be here, for making this occasion so special. I will now share with you, I've had a drink, my love and thoughts about my daughter Camilla. Marilyn and I were overjoyed to have a daughter, having two sons already. When he knew we were expecting another child, James, our eldest, who got his brother in Thomas already, said, "I just hope this one's a girl." Camilla was quite shy in her younger years, but there was a quiet determination there. She couldn't wait to get the stabilisers off her bike. Her two brothers had passed their driving test first time, and she was determined to do the same, which she did. She also achieved many of the badges in swimming and got to grade 4 on piano, didn't you? I think I've missed a page there, just a minute. Yes, I have. Right, good job I've got these pages numbered. She then decided to go around the world and made various contacts with people who wanted to do the same. One of those has become a good friend, Amy, who came to her hen night and is here today. Camilla has many lovely friends, and most of them are here today. She has a great relationship with her two cousins, Sarah and Anna, who she's grown up with, almost like sisters together. Having got her degree at Wolverhampton University, Camilla has worked for various charities, Macmillan, Marie Curie, the NSPCC. She now works as a corporate fund-holding manager with the Canal and River Trust, which I know she thoroughly enjoys and gets great satisfaction from. Camilla has previously owned 2 homes herself. Then she met Chris, the cycling friend of James. And I know who introduced them, James's wife. After a while, they decided to buy a property together, which they've renovated completely and made a lovely home together. They now, as you probably realise today, have a dog called Rosie. Chris has fitted into our family very well, and he has a lovely relationship with my 2 grandchildren, Reuben and Isabella. I couldn't ask for a better daughter than Camilla, who has been so loving and supportive to me over the years. We love her very much, and she means the world to her mother and me. I wish you both a long, loving and successful marriage together. Always support each other and stay happy. So now will you all please stand with me and raise your glass to toast the happy couple. Camilla and Chris, we wish you a happy and healthy life together, full of love and laughter. Camilla and Chris. Thank you. I'm just the warm-up act.
I'm definitely going to cry, so get your tissues out. Oh. Good afternoon. Some people will know me as Chris, some people will know me as Moon, some Jibber Jabber, some even Clegg. Well, I never thought I'd be stood here. Me and my wife. We'd like to thank you all for coming. It's amazing how far people will come for a free meal. Me and Camilla are overwhelmed with everyone's support and kindness and the food bank donations, so thank you all. I would like to thank my parents. My dad's not here today. But I know he would have loved Camilla. Their common love for a pint would have been enough for him. Thank you, Mum, for putting up with me. I was a very quiet, well-behaved child. Always doing what I was told and well-behaved. But you've done an amazing job. You've raised an absolute legend. So thank you, Mum. Mum, we love you. The way you welcomed Camilla into our family is amazing. I knew you loved her when she got a stocking for Christmas with oranges, toothpaste, and everything that was free on the cruise ship. So please, if you will, raise a glass to my mum and dad. I would like to thank Ray and Marilyn. Camilla's a wonderful woman whose kindness and caring nature is a credit to you both. Marilyn, from the first date when you opened the door to a nervous wreck, you invited me in and I instantly feel at ease. You're always there to support us and do a fantastic job of helping me calm Camilla down. Whether it's cleaning the kitchen in our new house when we moved in, or when I remember Camilla walking out and saying, I'm not sure what we're going to do. You're always there to settle us down. You're two peas in a pod. And the relationship you have is amazing. But I know Camilla gets worried if she hasn't heard from you in an hourly text. Even sending Mick out to find you. So I'm not sure how we're going to cope on the honeymoon with no phones. Ray, thank you for teaching Camilla how to appreciate a good pint. I can't tell you the amount of trouble we've got into because, to quote, if it's not 5%, it's not strong enough. I'm not sure where you get the energy from. Camilla always used to tell me and her dad are doing the garden, which translates to Ray working all day and Camilla buying a cob and a pint at lunchtime. Thank you all for welcoming into your family. I'm not sure what you all thought when you heard about this 6-foot Londoner who rides bikes and just travels about a bit was dating your daughter, but I felt welcomed into your family. Please raise a toast to Marilyn and Ray. I would like to thank the bridesmaids, Kerry, Becky and Kelly. You all looking beautiful today. Camilla absolutely loved her hen do's. Yes, there's more than one. Camilla hasn't stopped talking about Camilla. The thought and planning we all put into it was truly amazing. She was blown away and has mentioned how she felt famous as the DJ posted about Camilla on Instagram. To the best men, Tom, Steve, Craig and Kyra and Ruben. Tom, you're always there to have a nickname, a friendly shout in my ear, a rabbit chop. But you're always on hand if there's a problem and always keen to help. Steve, I'm not sure who was more happy when I said I was moving to the Midlands, Camilla or you. Steve's here. Steve's always the first one to get the blame when a trip's arranged or a day out riding, but he takes all in his stride and just has another pint. Craig, Whenever I ring you, you always sound so happy and joyful. It always brings a smile to my face. Me and Pat, Craig, used to live together, but many a night out, my liver started suggesting he'd get his own place. Kyra, in the back. You looked out for me.
I didn't have that effect on you.
Kyra, you looked out for me, fed me, guided me, and some would say stupidly a bit of godfather to Izzy and Tink, who have made me feel loved. We've spent many a night in the Chinese, eating Chinese in the kitchen, to James's annoyance. And then another side note, Izzy, your singing today was amazing, and thank you very much. Reuben, my new adventure buddy. Whether it's a dip in the lake or breaking into a castle, you're always game for the adventure. You've all had a great influence on my life, and I'm truly very lucky. You're a great group of friends, but to me, you're family. Thank you for arranging a fantastic stag. Things didn't get too spicy. I spent the whole weekend in a dress. And I must say, your taste in ladies' clothing is questionable. And your choice of accessories is not what you'd say classy. Cardiff is the only place I didn't feel out of place walking around in a dress. I'm not sure how the two group of friends would get on, but soon realising their common love of beer and abusing the stag would see you all laughing. Thank you all for a great weekend. I'd like to toast best man, please. I'd also like to thank my sisters for doing the children's gift bags. I know the stickers are absolutely everywhere. Everyone seems to be having some kind of dot placed somewhere. It's kept them entertained, and I think all the parents are very grateful. And finally, to Camilla, my wife. I can't tell you how much time and effort Camilla has put into today to give us a truly fantastic day. She's even made sure the windowsills are going to be painted. So please raise your glass and toast to Camilla. Thank you. I used to look around and see my friends so happy and joyful, and I thought, I want that. So I went and did it. I went and bought a mountain bike. So realising, soon after, another 3 bikes later, something was still missing. I need the love of a good woman, and I certainly found it in you. I'm sure you'll all agree, you are looking incredibly beautiful. I first heard about Camilla sat in the pub with the Brummy lot. The words were, Pekka's fit sister. I looked at Pekka and just shrugged it off. But sat in the pub on a Christmas ride, Matt, caddy, showed me this attractive woman on Strava, which happened to be Camilla. Without a second thought, I hit follow. Little did I know there was already a plan hatched for us to meet. Thank you, Claire. So there I was, sat there on Christmas Eve, ping goes my phone, and this message pops up. Hi, it's Camilla. Straight away I thought, which one of my mates is this? A few texts back and forth, I soon realised it wasn't a joke. Then panic set in. What do I say to this beautiful woman? I somehow managed to hold a conversation together till Boxing Day, and I got help from my friend who truly believed Santa brought me a present. We arranged to meet over Christmas. Camilla was staying in Hay-on-Wye. I wasn't far away in Wales, so asking James if it was okay to go on a date with his sister, we arranged to meet. So the first date, I came to pick Camilla up in a t-shirt and jeans, because that's all I packed. And Marilyn opened the door. I'm not sure why she let Camilla go out with me. But I'm glad she did, because she's changed my life forever. I knew from that night it was going to be something special. I was worried at last orders in the pub, and only 2 taxis in town. Both wasn't answering. I kept thinking, this doesn't look good. Me taking Camilla home in the morning, then going out all day riding my bikes with James. But luckily, around 1 a.m, she got home safe and sound. Since that night, my life has changed forever. We've had some crazy adventures and some amazing holidays. You're always so happy to go along with my ideas. Even though halfway round, I know you're going to say, I can't believe I agreed to this again. How much further? Why are we walking off the path? Since that night, my life has changed forever. We purchased our first home together a little over 3 years ago. After a few little bumps, me dictating how to paint the wall, we truly built a beautiful home together. You worked incredibly hard and should be very proud. We, as in me and Rosie, are extremely lucky to have such a caring woman to love us and look after us. You make me smile every day and every night. I often get I love you in the middle of the night, or Chris, I've not flushed the toilet. You've made my life complete, and I will love you now and forever. Be grateful for coming into my life. I can't wait to spend my life with you, and I can't wait for another next adventure. So please raise a toast to Camilla. I love you now and always. Now, afraid there's been a technical problem and you're all going to have to go home.
Ha, 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 ha. Who sounds miserable now? Hi, I'm Patrick, Fish, or just sometimes Craig, and I make up 1/3 of the Southern Best Persons group. I've known Jibed for 25 years. We first met at the college bar. Being just 16 and 17 years old and straight out of school, I had the advantage of massive uncut hair and a few whiskers around my chin, which aided me with the one that could get served.
Hello, I'm Kyra, just Kyra, and I call him Moon or Moona, and I'm also 1/3 of the Southern contingency, representing the females.
Hi, I'm Steve. Just Steve, and I call him Chris.
Hi, I'm Foz, aka Tom, Fish, or oh hi Tom, hi. I first met Clegg through Pat at college some 20 odd years ago. And I first knew him as Clegg, but generally referred to him as Jibhead or Mooner. And as I'll explain later, Footface. I'm the final third of the Southern contingents. We thought we'd take you on a journey of the biblical kind, seeing as our groom is the most religious person we know. He is. When asking me to be a best man, he also warned me. Fozzie said, "You can't say anything bad, you can't be rude, you can't drop me in trouble, or you're not coming." Well, Moon. It's a bit late now, because here I am, stood in front of all your friends and family. But don't panic, just yet. On your table, I know we've merged now, there's a couple of envelopes, with the Holy Moon on. Please only turn the page when you're prompted, whilst we all take it in turns to say how great you are, or not. This is a combined effort and the sentiment is shared. If you could have an open up. We turn the page. The Old Testament, Psalms, the birth of C.J. Frith.
Jib hasn't always been this confident, stylish, and well-groomed man that sits before you today. He was born in 1980, up north, somewhere. No one understood him then, and they still can't now. He started off as the apple of his parents' eye, and would even wear dresses. But things were soon to change.
Samuel 1, verse 12, the problem child years.
Moon spent his early years away at boarding school in Norfolk, a school designed for naughty, problematic children, a place for behavioural issues that required a special type of education, and one that gives the opportunity of peace and respite to his parents. I'll be honest, Mrs. Frith, I'm amazed that you only found a school 200 miles away from the then family home in South London.
The Chronicles, 18, 19, 20 to 23.
Yeah. Geeky, milk bottle glasses, vest-wearing Moon would make his weekly journey to Kent on a Friday night. Dressed to impress, wearing his white Fruit of the Loom t-shirt and ready for whatever the weekend had in store for him. He would stay at either mine or Fozzie's parents' house, and come Sunday evening, Monday morning, Mum would always tell me that he was not to stay around again. He's just rude, she would say. He doesn't talk. I think he's a mute. He eats the cupboards empty, and you lot kept me awake all of Saturday night. You see, Moon, Foz and I, we would love a 3 a.m. drunken but friendly game of Fight Club. Using my bedroom as a UFC-style octagon fighting ring, we would give each other jabs to the face, knees to the thigh, a throat-style karate chop, a rabbit blow to the back of the neck, and the occasional megaphone rammed into Jibhead's mouth, snapping his front teeth.
And we'd wake up on Pat's floor needing a gas mask and a multi-pack of spearmint extra, as Moon's breath could melt lead. We would then spend the next hour persuading him to drive us to the cafe, as he was by far the best at driving rough and hungover.
Craig, my mum would say to me with that raised voice, it's got to stop. You're not a 23-year-old.
Nights out. One night in Ashford, on the second night of a double weekender, we were stood looking along the bar at each other. Me one side, Pat the other. We're looking across at this massive head and face. I took off my clubbing shoe and held it up against his head. Both myself and Pat found this hysterical that his face was a foot long. That evening, the foot face was born. On the same evening out, I have a story to tell you about Moon and his long line of women. He's pulled over the years. Yup, you guessed it, the list is extremely short. There was one other than Camilla that took a liking to him, and he met her in an Ashford nightclub. Whilst we were outside getting a pasting, Moon was nowhere to be seen. We left him on the dance floor with this girl. At the end of the evening, once we'd recovered from our car park battle and Moon finally emerged from the club, we asked him, well, thanks for the help, Moon, for him to reply, oh, I gave that bird my bloody watch. In a vain effort, she might see me again. Lo and behold, the following weekend, unannounced, she turned up at Moon's house in Magpie Hall Road with a suitcase and a bag. Telling me this over the phone whilst driving to work one Saturday morning, I said, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm not going home. I'm going to stay at Mum's tonight. I said, what about the girl, Moon? Hopefully she'll get a hint and leave. He said to me. Moon returned late Sunday after working in London to find his plan had actually worked. The girl had gone. She didn't steal anything, but quite the opposite. She cleaned the kitchen, washed his clothes, tidied the garden, hoovered the floors, and by all amazement, left his beloved watch on the side and was never to be seen or heard of again.
Till today.
This was Moon's dating strategy, and you wonder why the list was short. But this was a turning point. Sorry. Wisdom of Soul Man, the transition years.
As the years rolled by, Moon left the world of agriculture and ventured into building and house refurbishment. It was during this time the nickname Big Money Moon was born. Mainly thanks to Bill Harwood, who took pity on him and gave him a job. A new era, some may say. The old silver Clio was outed for an impressively quick Subaru Impreza. The white Fruit of the Loom t-shirt, vest and glasses were replaced with exaggerated colourful pieces of clothing. Contact lenses were now being worn, and a visit to the dental hygienist was made. From laying on my bedroom floor, fighting, and Mum changing the locks on the doors, Moon decided to buy us a gaff, and we lived together at 180 Castle Road, Chatham.
After us both helping Moon gut the house, pull ceilings down, walls down, and on one Saturday morning, Moon's mum and dad came to visit, amongst all the chaos. Moon's dad famously said, quote, unquote, "Bloody hell, son, you've got trouble with bloody rubble." And this has stuck with us ever since. And with that sentiment shared, would you all please be upstanding?
To Richard. Yeah.
And we raise our glasses to Moon's dad, Richard.
In no time, the house was immaculate. Grand ideas had been dreamt up of how this was to become the Playboy mansion of Kent. But in reality, there was no parking, and it was situated on one of the roughest roads in Medway. Evenings would be spent fighting and arguing over the TV remote. Me introducing Moona to Masaka, and Moona trying his hardest to poison me with his raw frozen chicken and broccoli.
After helping each other with our first houses, we soon learnt that Moon was talented in this area. And it wasn't long before we all had G410 spotlights in every room, controlled by touch button dimmers, floating shelves with whitewashed walls, and TVs hung with no cables. This is what we know and love as a touch of Moona, as we called it. Oh, the best supper.
Thanks, John. Somehow, my house became a focal point for many a weekend. On a Friday night, we'd start at the Alex, sometimes on to the Rochester pubs. Saturday nights ended at the casino until 4 a.m. when they kicked us out for us to stagger back up the road to my house to get up in time for a piggy's breakfast. This quickly led to me somehow having to cook a full house of hungover people a Sunday roast. These days famously become Red Wine Sunday, where if drunk enough, dancing around the nipple could be witnessed.
Exodus, the Big C. On a flooded Christmas Eve, Pat called, said to me, him and Moon were coming to find us at the Sun Pub in Bredgar for a beer. Cheryl was heavily pregnant with Frank and days away for giving birth. Pat promised her we'd only have a couple. They came and joined our family gathering with Stacey's parents, and after one more no more, we all went back to our house and carried on. And whilst having a smoke in the garden, Moon told us the news. He had cancer again. Absolute shocker. We all shed a tear and then did what we only know how we do it best. We absolutely got smashed. Battered, drinking every drop of Christmas drink in the house, leaving nothing for Christmas Day. We drank the house dry. Fancy dress costumes were out, dancing, nakedness, shout-outs, foot shavings that he drank, and Moon pulling out his party trick. And not only to do this, he was singing Stacey's Mum, which was very uncanny at the time. They finally left at 3 a.m, and Moon forced Ches to take them on a road trip around Sittingbourne to McDonald's, which was of course shut. They tried 2 kebab shops, which were also shut. And they finally dropped him back in Chatham at 4 a.m. Kai was left the next day to pick up the pieces. Meanwhile, I woke to a sink full of sick, a cat poop on my slipper, along with a house that was trashed and an extremely hungover family. This was certainly a hardcore session and ended up going down in the books as an Xmas Eve to remember. And Stacey pulled off a smashing dinner to top it all off. Shenanigans of Christopher. Verse 1, Stag Do, Part 1. Now this is the bit you've all been waiting for in any speech, the most exciting part, the legendary Stag Do. Let me tell you about the Stag Do. Biking was great. Over to you.
Yeah, Foz has got me with that last bit about the big C, to be honest. Right, Camilla, I am aware of what you've heard and seen about the stag do. But be assured, it was all Foz's idea. The fact that my wingman was rushed back to Kent as his 1-year-old son had an accident does not make him clear of any responsibility. I think it's a fair assessment that Moon's new grown-up life has led him to have two separate group of mates. You've got the North and then the South. With us Southerners being the extreme, excluding Dan, of course, who's just lame. Although we all got on just fine, it was clear that there was differences between us. Steve, I still think you went over the top by stripping him naked. So Steve, and the rest of you Northern lot, I think the time has come to you to take the baton and lead Moon to this new chapter in his life. Jibhead, the spicy days are over. Come prepared with your Tesco meal deals. Sit up, be quiet, look ahead. And as we would say before a quiet night out, no more 10-pint minimums. Keep your willy hidden. Avoid Cardiff. And although the road ahead will be smoother, buckle up your seatbelts.
And just like that, from the jib-headed, foot-face, clegg-featured Mooner, he evolved. He changed. He transformed. And just like Jesus, he was resurrected as Christopher James Frith. And this concludes the Old Testament. The New Testament.
How been ya? I'm Steve, and I hope you all have the right Boston shindig. And for those that don't speak Black Country, that roughly translates to hello everyone. Thanks for coming to this glorious wedding. I hope you have a wonderful day. Before I start, got to say, Camilla, you look absolutely stunning. And Chris, you don't screw up too bad either.
Saint Stephen, the resurrection. The gospel, according to Steve. Canada, mountain biking holiday.
So, better start at the beginning. I haven't really known Chris for all that long, certainly nowhere near as long as these guys over here, so it was certainly a nice surprise to be asked to be one of his best men. We met on my 40th birthday, 7 years ago, on a mountain biking holiday to Whistler in Canada. Chris had already been there for a good few weeks, and when we turned up, he hit it off with the whole of our group straight away. He rode with us, he drank with us, ate with us, and was with us for the rest of the trip. And it just went from there. And I've not been able to get rid of him ever since.
Detrimony, chapter 39 to 44, the introduction to Camilla.
The initial connection came to Camilla when one of our friends, Callie, was chatting to Chris about this girl he follows on Strava. And from what I remember, it was on Chris's phone and he clicked follow, and after that she followed him back. Not long after that, on Christmas Eve 2017, I get a text from Claire asking to share Chris's mobile phone number. She was out with Camilla in Stourbridge, and after a couple of white wines, Camilla sends the first text. Then came the first date. Not only does Chris have to meet his wife-to-be, but most of the rest of the Wood clan too, including the future mother-in-law. And this is their first date. You've got to give him some credit for that. He did well there. I did hear a rumour that Chris booked every taxi in the little town they were in so that Camilla couldn't get home that night. Is that right, Chris? Yeah, come on. Only joking. She finally got a taxi home, and obviously it all went pretty well after that. They now have a new love in their lives. No, not me, although Camilla may disagree after the amount of time that Chris and I spend biking together. Obviously, I mean Rosie. It's great to see how they clearly love her to bits. They're enjoying training her and taking her for walks. She really is a lovely dog and made a guest appearance today.
Genesis, Chris and his bikes.
Now, back to Chris. In the time I've known him, I think he's owned every Santa Cruz mountain bike there is in the range. For those that don't know, they're a bit like the bike equivalent of a Ferrari. Quite nice to see now that he has a big mortgage, done a huge refurb on the house, the car, a dog. He's now riding a Canyon. When we met Chris, he couldn't jump, definitely couldn't get switchbacks right, and even after a very big crash and a bang on the head in Rayada, he's absolutely terrible at all of those things.
Proverbs, tall and hungry.
You've probably noticed that he's a fairly tall guy. You really can't help but notice that, can you? And with that comes a big appetite. On our recent trip to the Alps, and after a particularly big day in the mountains, we sit down for dinner, and to everyone's amazement, he doesn't order a starter then a main, he just orders 2 main courses. So he's sat there with 2 huge dishes in front of him and an enormous grin all across his face.
Corinthians, Stag Do, Part 2.
And that brings us to the latest trip, the Stag Do. And what an eye-opener that was for the Midlands lot. Yeah, you can laugh. We thought we'd had a few wild stag do's until we went out with this lot. Oh my God, these guys can drink. And the banter was hilarious to watch. They didn't let up on Chris for a second. They've all clearly been doing the same thing for years. I also heard that Chris still has a handprint on the back of his thigh from where Chris Cormack slapped him. And that brings me to the nicknames. Don't think I've ever heard so many for one guy. There are many that I can't say in present company, but the clean ones, Mooner, Crane, Lip, Jibhead, Footface, not one of these guys actually calls him Chris. It was great to see a group of friends loving being back together after a while apart, and Chris being at the blunt end of every joke or wisecrack. Absolute animals, but brilliant fun. Great day at Bike Park Wales, and doing the gorge walking too. Especially watching the novices at Bike Park Wales, who are happy to give it a go, even though they hadn't ridden a bike for years. Gorge walking was great too. You can't beat a bit of peer pressure to make you jump off a huge cliff. Overall though, you got to say, Chris is basically a very nice bloke. I think that's probably why he's got so many pals all over the world. For me, it's great to see the banter he has with my son, Jake, as well, as Jake has really grown up mountain biking with Chris. Fortunately, Jake learnt his bike skills from me and Scott, and not Chris. Just before I sign off, there's another young lad who wanted to say a few words about his uncle. Over to Rue.
Chris, I would like to thank you for always playing with me and for teaching me so much, like how you always enter an area where it says no entry or private. You always set such a good example to me, like when the time we biked 12 miles around Lake Vyrnwy and suddenly you stripped off and dived into the reservoir that clearly said no swimming. I had a good laugh watching you bike the rest of the way in your wet pants. I love that you are a giant and that you have taught me how to climb trees, and I love that you throw me in the air. But I don't love that you break my guns, my pistol, my rifle and my potato gun with your giant hands. On a serious note, thank you for being you and making Auntie Camilla and Rosie so happy. I love you, but the best thing is swimming in the sea with you.
Well done, Rue. That was fantastic. Good lad. Thanks, Reuben. Back to the happy couple. Chris and Camilla, time to relax. Take it all in and enjoy the rest of your special day.
The Pied Piper, a.k.a. Moon Harwood Lucas.
Christopher James Frith, aka Moon. As you can tell, he's had many a nickname over the years. Undeniably, people are surprised that Moon and I are besties and that he chose to be odd, standard Moon, and picked me as one of his best men, woe man in my case. But our friendship has stood the test of time, trials and tribulations. Moon quickly became my family's plus one. I would get an invitation to something, plus Mooner. The children in the wider family genuinely thought he was their Uncle Moon and shared our surname, Harwood Lucas. Most notably, Chris has become an amazing godfather to my daughters and put his stamp on their early years, making them a bit alternative too, which he loves to remind me of as often as he can. It would not be right for us to gloss over the absolute heartache of Moon's double cancer diagnosis. I've many a sad and funny story I could tell about this, and his fight against the dreaded C, but it was a fight he took head on. He does have a big head. and overcome like an absolute warrior. I do feel, however, it affected his ability to have the balls to pick just one best man. So, you've got all five of us. Notwithstanding all of the above, Moona, you're an integral part to many lives. You have achieved so much, and your dad would be extremely proud of the man standing before us today, especially when looking at the beautiful bride you have managed to bag yourself. Camilla, you look absolutely stunning. Thank you, not only for being Moona's Sunday, his happy ever after, and for loving him as much as he deserves, but thank you for accepting me as his buddy and loving his goddaughters as much as he does. To that end, will you all be upstanding and raise your glasses to the newlyweds? Mr. and Mrs. Frith. Hey!